think about it through the lens of what we've seen from Ohio State defensively, because I think the Buckeye defense is for real. They proved it, in my opinion, against a really good offensive team in Notre Dame, and they have been held, or I should say they have held people in check all year long. You could, in my opinion, you could argue right now that statistically Ohio State's a top five defense in the country. I don't know that too many people in Ohio State's fan base here are used to that, but it's legit. They're that good right now. So, given what we've seen from Maryland, and with Taulia Tagovailoa running the show for them, he's a pretty explosive quarterback. What are the unique challenges that Maryland's going to present for us?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will add on to what you just said, I don't think you'd find much of an argument saying that Ohio State's a top 5 defense. They've been absolutely fantastic, and especially on the back end. We really, for all year long, don't give up many big plays. You can really think back to like just a handful. There was a couple long throws in the Notre Dame game, but that was like more veteran stuff where Hartman got through a progression and found an open guy. You think back to Youngstown State, that long throw up the sideline, but that was really all that was there. Indiana had nothing really big down the field. A couple Western Kentucky, but not too much. But this Maryland Terrapins team is going to test the secondary. So I think it's strength on strength. I think Ohio State's defensive strength is their back end and their secondary. And, Denzel Burke, you got Lathan Ransom, you got Sonny Styles in the back. Everyone, all of our stud players are in the back end. And then on the flip side of things, Maryland's strength is throwing the football. Taulia Tagovailoa is off to a fantastic start. He's completing over 69% of his passes, which is incredible. Actually, 65%, excuse me. 65% of his passes for just under 1,500 yards in 5 games. He's averaging 292 yards a game through the air. So you can imagine they're coming out and slinging it. And he's not throwing it to one or two guys. It's really, this is a receiving corps by committee. You got 5 guys really that they rely on at any time. Starting with Octavian Smith Jr. He's probably your bottom guy. He's got 11 catches for 122 yards. He's averaging 11 yards a reception. Corey Ditches, 18 catches. Caden Prather, 18 catches. Ty Felton, 18 catches. Jason Jones, 19 catches. All of them have 2 or 3 touchdown catches. So you got 5 or 6 guys who he's been spreading the ball around to, which when you're facing that and you're game planning for that, that's something where it's like, all right, boys, everyone's got to be locked in on your P's and Q's. Everyone's got to be locked in on your assignment, and you got to cover until the whistle. You got to cover through the whistle because he's shown the ability to get through progressions, keep plays alive, and make big plays down the field.
I wonder how much of their success is dictated, though, by who they've played. Mm-hmm. Look, they beat up on Towson and on actually a Charlotte team that I would keep an eye on Charlotte in years to come. I'm just going to put it that way. Like, Charlotte's making some moves. They're not good. They're not Ohio State level good, but keep an eye on that program. That's just that's a gut feeling. But they still beat them by 18. They pounded Virginia, who's not very good. Mm-hmm. They caught Michigan State at like the perfect opportunity to catch a Michigan State team that was in the throngs of turmoil, and they embarrassed Sparty. And then they beat up Indiana so bad that Tom Allen fired his offensive coordinator. So, I'm kind of looking at this like, okay, I don't know if Indiana and Michigan State are the worst 2 teams in the Big Ten this year, but they're certainly in the conversation of worst 3 or 4 teams, right? So part of the evaluation that I think we were trying to give Ohio State early in the year of like, okay, hey, I don't think the Buckeyes have played, quote unquote, have played anybody early. How do we know if they're for real? There were some things on tape that I think we could actually physically point to that said like, yeah, this looks really good. It's not just a guy who's clearly an FBS player against a guy who ain't, right? So when you've kind of studied Maryland a little bit, what leads you to believe that their statistics are not just the only reason people think they're impressive.
Yeah, I think that part's the hard part, right? That's really the $1 million question is what is it going to look like against a legit team? However, where you can point to and where I encourage our fans to point to is go watch the Indiana highlights or the Indiana tape and go watch the Michigan State tape. And what you'll find and why I think that they'll pose an issue or they'll pose a little bit of competition for Ohio State is they go quickly. Like it happens very fast. Like they were up on Indiana 21-0 before you could blink. They scored in 15 seconds. They had a first drive was 15 seconds, 17 seconds, maybe 75 yards. It was 3 plays. It was a huge completion down the middle, a run, and then another huge completion for a touchdown. So it happens fast. So what that leads me to believe is they're well coached. Coach Day said that a number of times, and he really respects what they got going on their side of things. But they're well coached and they're prepared. And when you look at a game plan and how a game plan unravels itself, you look at that first quarter, and there's teams will do about 12 to 15 plays, which they'll script. Okay, them the night before. They give them to their players. I used to sleep with my script. Like I would read it until I fell asleep on my face. And the quarterback knows it. The receivers know it. The running backs know it. The line knows it. Like everyone's got it in your head. And how they start is crucial. So when you see Maryland get off to these quick starts, they're well prepared. They're well schemed against their opponent. And that leads me to believe that they're going to have a really good plan, going into what they're going to face on Saturday afternoon.
Where are they vulnerable?
Where are they vulnerable? I think in the run game. Okay. So on the offensive side of the ball, that's where I believe that, their vulnerabilities lie. So we're talking about this flash, these big plays, up the field. What happens when Denzel Burke starts locking down somebody? Or what happens when nothing can get over the top of the Ohio State defense? Or what happens when our defensive line starts getting after the quarterback and making it really hard to drop back and pass? Where they're vulnerable is when you make them have to run the ball. I don't think that they're bad at running the football. They got 3 guys that really take the lion's share of the carries. And overall, they're averaging about just over 4 yards a carry. But you're going to get really familiar with number 24, Roman Hemby. He's going to be the guy in the backfield who's going to get a lot of the carries. He's going to come into the game with he's got 64 carries for 327 yards. He scored 4 times, but you average that out. He's averaging just south of 5 yards a carry. So that's pretty good. But it's not that's. I believe that's a little inflated. He's got a couple longs in there, long of 40, but he's got some huge plays. And then he's supplemented by Colby McDonald and Antoine Littleton. Littleton had a big touchdown last week against Indiana up the sidelines. It was a really nice run. But that's where I think if you can get them out of their comfort zone and get Talia uncomfortable and make them have to run the football, I think that's when it goes from, hey, this could potentially be a close game to, Bucks by 100 type of a situation.
Okay. Well, I don't want to think about this so much as like strength on strength, where it feels like Ohio State's defense is an elite unit and Maryland's better part is their offense. Because I think that downplays how good Ohio State's offense can look, because we've seen flashes of that. Maryland's 5-0, so they can't be terrible defensively, but I'm certain they haven't seen an offensive group that can light it up.